there, my fellow curious minds, and welcome back to Tech Advantage, the podcast where we talk about technology, business, and personal growth. I'm your host, Tondow Abraham, co founder and head of technologies at Blue Mind. And today on this podcast, we have a special guest. He's been one of the major contributors to my success as a computer science student back in Gombe State University. And I'm so excited to have him on the podcast today. Mr. Dawaki, please introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah. Hello, Abraham, and hello, our listeners.
Hello, sir.
Muhammad Dawaki, and just like Mr. Abraham have said, I've been in the academia for like 7 years now, and I have experience in software engineering for almost like 10 years. So I've been building and teaching concurrently. Yeah, that's it in brief. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So there's so much information I would like to dig out from all of your experience. And I hope as we go through the session, you give us great information.
Okay.
So
That's
I'll
great. Yeah.
begin now. The first question I have for you today. I got to read your CV and your bio, and it was very detailed. And so far on your journey and foundation, you've built across the academia, industry, and even at national scales. So looking back, what experiences most shape how you think about competence and responsibility as well as professionalism?
Yeah. So thank you for this question. I think let me just reflect back as to how it all started in this field of tech
Yes, yes,
and all this. Yeah.
that would be
So,
great.
when I was in primary, I think 6 or 5, then we had this guy that teaches computer. I think then most of the people that were having computers were very few, and the guy used to have one kind of desktop, that his own personal desktop.
Okay.
So on one very day, he brought in that set of computer to the school, and the task was just to know how to start a computer and then switch the power button and then just boot up the system to start working.
Okay.
So everyone among us, among the peoples then in the school, were eager to be selected as the one that will come and practice those steps that he have highlighted for us practically. To me, I naturally feel like the teacher will call me because every time when it comes to computer, I like computer and mathematics. I'm very curious about everything that will be discussed then. And
Okay.
whenever the teacher asks questions, I try to answer and attempt and so on. And sometimes he might even call me when he's teaching another arm. For example, I'm in class 6A and he's teaching in class
Yeah.
6B. If he asks them some questions and they couldn't answer
Okay.
it computer, so he will actually
Take
say,
you
go
to
and
the
call
class.
Waki from that class, let him come and answer
Wow,
it for you.
wow. You must have been a very bright student then.
Yeah, so because I just have curiosity in that field of
Okay.
mathematics and computer science, so he will call me and then in front of the class and he will ask the question again, and none of them will respond. And he will say, "Doc, answer the question now," and I will simply answer the question. So since then, you will just get some kind of feeling, excitement that you really be
Yes,
excited that
yes.
particular thing that
Very
you've
great
been, because
experience.
people are cheering you up and so on. So
Yeah.
then, rolling back to that story, the teacher then called me and said, "Oh, I can come and do this, and let's start the computer." So, then they will just be teaching you all the instructions. If you want to start the computer, make sure the power is plugged in, then click on the power
Yeah.
button, go to the start button, or so if you want to shut down. So I cram all those steps and I was
Yeah.
recalling them and doing them on the system, and people were just sharing. So since then, I've really gotten so excited in computing and so on. And I think that particular thing has really shaped my way of thinking when it comes to being in the academia. There are some instances whereby you'll see some students are down, but they really have a very good mindset of knowing things. They really have a lot of stuff in their head. So it's just a matter of words that you can tell them, and they will actually boost up and they become really great people. So word of mouth is really
Okay.
important most of the time. So fast forward, and it comes to a time whereby you write jam and go into the university. But since then, during that primary school, I've never had another chance to get encounter with computer systems again. So until when we finished secondary school, and everybody was like, I'll be studying medicine, I'll be studying engineering, and blah blah. Yes, and
Okay.
then there are some categories of students that they automatically they will say you guys will be like going for medicine, and I was part
Yeah,
of that.
medical
So,
students.
so I applied for medicine and one other course is radiography in the University of Maiduguri, and it was
Okay.
unfortunate. Then I have like 242 in my JAM score, and I all have the WAEC and the NECO. I all got them, but I couldn't get an admission to for medicine. So,
Wow.
and naturally, I feel like I'm just kind of I don't know how to describe that because most of my family members were like doing medicine, and so it's so
Okay.
unfortunate that you couldn't get an admission. Yeah, you know that feeling, and you feel like you're
Yes.
just a backward kind of
Outclassed or
guy.
something like that.
Yeah. So one of my brothers says, since computer is kind of new now, and most people are going to that course, they used
Yes.
to call them marketable courses also.
Yeah,
So he said,
true.
why not try Gombe State University and go in for computer science? So yeah. So I tried. I rewrite JAM again, and I think I've scored somewhere around that number again, and I've gotten admission into the university.
Wow.
And the most unforgettable experience is that when during after the first semester, most students will be going for
Yes.
vacation and so on. And after the second semester as well, they will go on vacation and the rest. So me and together with some of my friends, Al Bashir and Mohammed Tukur and Usman
Yeah.
Idris and a lot of them, we decided and say, why not let us start learning some of the things that they will be teaching us in 200 level, this programming courses and so on. And they said, yeah, that's a
Okay.
nice idea. Let's try it. And
Wow.
so we met one, is it 300 level student too? That guy, I
Yeah.
think, Mr. Abdul, he lives in Kogi. He's from Kogi State and he was studying computer science as well in Gombe State University. So we converged together and go and met him. And it may surprise you to know that even Abdul too don't go home like during vacation. You just be
Wow.
staying in
In
school
the
and be
school.
doing kind of his programming, creating solutions and
Wow.
the rest. So we met
Impressive.
him and I think that was the spark. On the first day that he comes in for class, he will be teaching us C. I can remember, I think C programming.
Yeah.
And so he said he comes with his friend, Dokoro, who will teach us C, and he might be teaching us this web design and the rest. So we have just been hearing those web programming, C programming in secondary schools and
Yes.
the rest, but we don't know how really the thing works. But another thing that really sparked me then is myself. I think I have I just don't know. Maybe it's just natural gift or so. I really like to solve problems. Like if I see any problem, I will not try to sleep unless I solve that particular problem. Even for people, I don't like to see people getting into troubles or
Wow.
comes to me for advice and I couldn't solve that particular thing. It really pains me. So I don't know. Maybe that was my drive for all those kind of things. You understand?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so on that first day that we were taught C, and the guy started to write the program, and wow, we say, what is this? Which kind of thing is this? They will write IF
Magic,
and they
right?
will write comma brackets. You understand?
Yes.
It looks so strange, and I looked to my friend and say, "Are we really going to understand this thing?" And one method I really find very interesting with that guy, he said when he write the first program, the Hello World, and he said, "Try it on your computers." Then I don't have a computer, but my friend does. So we
Okay.
tried, and my friend was kind of afraid to write, thinking he might get error. I say, "Dawaki, come and try it." So I say, okay, let me see. We try to write it as the way it was on the board. And the guy removed something like a semicolon, and it was
Okay.
intentional for him. So we wrote the program, we run the program, and it shows all the, if you get one arrow kind of, it will just
Yes.
show you 100 lines of another arrow
Yes.
messages. So we ran the program, and he said, look into the program clearly and see what do you think is the problem. And we said, we are just having an encounter with this thing for the first time. How can we be able to detect this? So, and he
Right.
said that is the most important thing. If you're a learning program, you need to as well know how to solve the problem and see what happens to the code. And I think that was the journey. And I think since then, it has been a smooth ride. Like my interest keeps growing in that field and so on. Yeah.
That's really great story. Um, so far, I think you haven't really given us some specific information as to how you got into the industry aspect of technology in general. Okay.
So okay, for fast forward, and it was time for an IT, and me with like you'll be hearing me calling friends, 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 and the rest
Yes,
all through the
yes.
program. Friends are really important, kind of people that will really shape your way. If you're not in the midst of good friends, good peers that can really drive you and move you forward, you will really just be stagnant at one place because there's no one to be
True.
challenging you to be moving forward. So it was time for an
Right.
IT, and together with my three friends, we have seen a kind of presentation that level met, 400 level student met during their IT defense, and he really created a wonderful application that will really help a lot of students. So since then, we asked the guy, how did you learn this? And he said, Dawaki, look, if you want to learn this kind of things, you have to move out of Gombe because in Gombe, there's nowhere that they can teach you all these kind
Mm,
of things. And then, 2014, 2013 back, even there are some people that know all these things. You hardly see them maybe living
States, yes.
in Gombe around those places. They will just be traveling to Lagos and Abuja for work and so on. So, and he
Yeah.
said, yeah, you really have to travel out of your comfort zone and move to somewhere and go and just learn it. And he said he learned those things in Kano, and so if we are willing, he can join. He can link us up with the company that he did his IT there. So
Okay.
we said yes, why not? We are going to try. And I think one of those my friends, Al Bashir, I will never forget him. He really helped me. He said, "Come, we can go to Kono, and I have my uncle there. We can live in his house and do our 6 months and learn all those stuff that
Wow.
would help us."
Wow.
And yeah, so that's how it started. So we really suffered a lot. So
Yeah.
you'll be
I'm
traveling
just
like
imagining the
kind of
experience, like going to a new city just to learn technology and all of that.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow.
Kind of then a lot of people, when you compare the population density with Gombe is very few scanty people.
Phenomenal.
So
Yeah.
the chaos there and the rest, and you have to be traveling for long distances from home, going to the IT place just to learn. So, but then one thing that I set in mind then was, most of the presentations that they did during the IT for the 400 level guys that were above us, it was on
Yeah.
web technology, web design, and the rest. And
Okay.
then I think Android have started, like people have started creating an apps, and
Okay.
I was so excited. I would just be asking, how can someone create an application that can work on mobile device and be playing games, like
Yeah.
how I used to ask myself, how does this thing happen? How can I create an app for myself? I want to see it on mobile device working, that kind
Yeah.
of drive. And then so I said, when I go for this IT, my goal is to learn how to create mobile application, period. So any other thing is just an added stuff.
Yeah. Advantage. True.
So I was trying to take you to the journey, and
Yeah.
then when we did web design, we learned a lot. We really learned a lot in Kano. I learned graphics. It's not just about software engineering that I am really good at. If you give me one kind of thing to draw with either Photoshop or Corel Draw, I can easily do it for you.
Wow.
So yeah, so we were doing all this. My mindset then is just to learn Android application, and with dedication, each time, each day, I will set 5 hours for myself just to learn, just to keep building. If the best way I think to learn things in technology is in building things is just try and get something to build. If you
True.
envision something to build using any of these technologies, that's how you keep learning, because each day you'll be encountering different challenges, and it
Yes.
will it will really challenge you to go and read the documentation, you look at the video
Yeah.
tutorials, and or
You
you don't
just
know,
keep
you just be
studying and
accumulating knowledge
studying.
and
Yes,
moving.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so from there, from the IT, I think we learn all this web and the rest. So the point I want to take you is after we've resumed at IT, and most people have did their IT in Gombe and they couldn't be able to develop a simple application, but we there we learn a lot of things and how to do a lot of applications and how to build them either web or mobile app. So the students were coming to
Okay.
me. There are some of our 400 level students that came to me and said they are going to do a project. Can I assist them in writing this software? And I said, why not? Let me try. Because I realized then the
Oh,
more you keep trying new things, the more you keep learning, and the more you keep creating chances for yourself. So
yes.
I created and I assisted one guy to develop a software. I think is it for Cyrus kind of stuff for managing Cyrus and the rest. And
Okay.
he had a brother that is into this software company. He has his own software company newly, and they were running some applications for some kind of universities in Gombe and some other states.
Yeah.
And the guy was like demonstrating his application. Maybe I don't know at his home or somewhere. And his brother saw the application, the web-based application, and he asked him, "Did you did this by yourself?" And the guy said, "No, it was one guy in JSU that assisted him to do that." And he said, "A guy in JSU could do this in Gombe," and and he said, "Yes." So that's how I really come encounter with the Brightech company in Gombe.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the guy
It's really a
called me and
popular
said, "You did
technology
this?"
company
And he asked me
from
some
here.
questions and said, "Next day we are going for a walk." And he gave me some things to try. And wow, since 2014, I've started working already with a software company and I've been earning a lot of goodies from there. Yeah, that
Wow.
is it. Started.
That's very impressive. Thank you for this short story. I'm very much so excited about all you've shared so far. Today's episode of Tech Advantage is sponsored by Bluemind Technologies Limited. Bluemind is a technology startup company specialized in providing practical tech solutions for businesses and individuals. From software development and IT support to digital tools, system setup, automations, and ongoing tech management, Bluemind handles everything tech so you can focus on what matters. Whether you're a startup, a growing business, or an individual looking for reliable tech support, Bluemind delivers solutions that are simple, efficient, and built around your real needs. No unnecessary complexity, no guesswork, just tech that works. Reach out to us via email on tech@bluemind.cloud. Bluemind Technologies Limited, your trusted partner for everything tech. So
Yeah.
let's just move forward. Now, we're going more into depth. In a world where everyone is rushing to be visible, a lot of people try to make public all of the work they're building and all of that.
Mm.
You so far have quietly just focused on depth and systems. Why do you think mastery still matters over hype? Because, especially for young professionals, how do you think they should be a lot more intentional about what they study rather than putting out their work as the first instance?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this having a depth about anything that you're learning is really important. It's really important for you to like keep calm and keep learning. In learning as well, like for example, in this field of software technology and the rest, there are some instances whereby you need to really understand what all those things, how they work, the architecture behind some of the frameworks, some of the tools that you're using. You really need to understand them very well. And the bottom line should be you providing a solution that is scalable and a solution that will work. So I used to hear a lot of people that will be saying, today one new framework will just spring up and people will just move there. Another
Yeah,
new
yeah.
framework will come up and people will just
Yeah.
rush there. And when you come to ask them, when you give them a simple problem to solve, they cannot be able to solve that particular problem with the framework that they have been learning for years. Why? Because they don't know the foundational knowledge for providing solutions, foundational knowledge for solving computing problems, and the rest. So I think having the foundational knowledge, reading through the documentation, and practicing, providing many solutions in different areas, maybe in education, fintech, and the rest, will really grind you so well, and you will have very good foundation, good knowledge of trying to solve any problem that you have come in contact with. So, to me, a lot of practice, a lot of
Yes.
reading documentation, and
Mm.
a lot of curiosity. You can just write a simple line of code that say print hello world, but your aim is not what this line. The first aim of yours should not be this line will just. I know this line will just print this content for me, but for
Yeah.
you to ask yourself, how does it work? What? Why is there this print this thing? So
Yeah.
it's those things that will allow you to go in depth and really understand the architecture of those things so that you can be able to use them or to put them the way you like. It's just like some people that will start learning maybe CSS from just Bootstrap, all these frameworks. And when you come to ask them that, for example, you give them something to change, and it maybe the class is not available in Bootstrap to give that particular feature, you see, they will be stranded because they didn't know the core CSS. How does even the Bootstrap comes up? You understand?
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yes.
I think having the depth is really important than hyping. You wait, you gather a lot of knowledge. When you gather a lot of knowledge, automatically people will just know you. You understand,
Yeah.
and you really be seen in different fields. So the hype
That's
doesn't take you anywhere.
Yeah. Specific to this, I have a weloper friend. So we're talking about some project that he was working on previously. He said, in terms of technology, and when him and his friends started learning some languages, he said most of the guys that begin to learn things like React and Angular, they'll be able to bring up websites within a short period of time. But guys
Mm.
that go into more in-depth backend kind of programming languages, we're talking C now, that these are the guys that can only be able to come about a solution like building a compiler. Like how many people can even build a compiler today? And
Yeah,
most of the
exactly.
people that just go into the kind of technologies that will just give them results almost immediately, they really don't
Mm.
even have so much in-depth knowledge. That's
Yeah,
that's what it to me.
exactly.
All right, I'll move forward now to the next question. So, on your profile, you told us about some big projects you worked on, even with the Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation. So, I just want to ask specific to all of that. With all of these high stake projects in education, health, and the public systems, what does reliability actually mean in those environments? And what happens when people underestimate deadlines or delivery?
Yeah. So building technologies or solutions that people really rely on, it's
Yeah.
we call them critical solutions. You understand? There are solutions that are really hard to work around. So I have worked I've worked on several projects that were supported by all these giants like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations and the World Bank as well, and African Development Bank supported projects. So
Okay.
when you're part of a team that are building a kind of solutions that people, it will really go a long way in changing and in impacting lives. You understand? So there are some mission critical systems that we created, like in fintech, that people do rely on for their salaries, and that are so sometimes there is no room for downtime. You understand?
Yes.
Most of the times they will just be calling you 2 a.m. in the night, 3 a.m., and something is wrong and you have to wake up. So you just have to be ready every day that anything can happen, in technology. That is why I want to coin back this to the previous questions you asked me.
Yes, sir.
Re- uh, Depth, it really is the thing that makes softwares to stand for long time. So if you're after all these bubbles of frameworks and you don't know the fundamentals, you will really create a kind of software that just look like a bubble, and it will just move up fast at once and then boom,
It's
and
nowhere.
it's nowhere. So I think technical depth is really, really important in building reliable systems. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, sir. So we move up to the next question. I just hope all of these questions is not so bombarding. So a lot of people struggle with consistency, even I myself, saying they'll do something and not follow through. So, from your experience, how does keeping small promises to yourself translate into professional credibility?
Good. Yeah, I think me too. I have a challenge with this
We
consistency.
all do.
For you to
Indeed.
be, for you to have that discipline of consistency, it's really a very big thing to develop easier. It really take you time,
Yes.
but just like solving problems, you always break things down. So, for
Yeah.
example, I've asked you to lift 10 bag of cement, and you yourself, you can only lift half bag of cement, and you
Yeah.
started by carrying 2 bags or 1 bag. So at long run you might not be able to
You might not be able to
accomplish
do
those things. So I think one of the most important thing to help you in consistency is try and take things that you can accomplish within a very short time. Just make them in chunks that you can be able to complete these things in small chunks. So if you decide to take things, big things, as big as they are, it will really come to a time where they will overwhelm you and you cannot be able to keep that consistency. So for example, I think if there is is it 100-hour rule. I think most people used to try that, and they said if you want to build a skill in anything, if you can
Yes.
spend 18 minutes, you understand,
Yes.
you can spend 18 minutes per day for 1 year just to learn that particular skill. At the end, you will be greater than 95% of population of people, or yeah, in that particular skill set in that
Wow.
area.
Just
So,
18
so
minutes?
just imagine. So you see, just
So
18 minutes,
minimal
just 18
if you
minutes.
think about this.
Yeah. So now, what else? If you say now, I will take 10 hours for a day. You really get overwhelmed. But 18 minutes is very short,
So
isn't it? So
yes,
if you
yeah.
keep that, it's just short time, and if you're consistent in that thing, in just in a year, in just a year, they said you'll be in the top 5% of the people that are highly skilled in that particular area. So you
Wow.
see, this is all trying to teach you about consistency. Consistency has to do with you taking things small, like is it in Yoruba? They used to call it JJJ, isn't it right? So you go
Jen-
JJ. Yeah. Yeah, so
Wow.
don't rush. Take it simple. Begin with the smallest things that you can be able to achieve, and that's how you keep rolling, so that you will not get overwhelmed.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. This
yeah,
has really taught me something new. So many times I try to do so many chunk of work just to make huge progress, but I think over time I would begin to focus more on slight progress because this is more
yes, exactly.
okay. I'll move to the next question now. So, in terms of competence, many young professionals focus on tools and certificates. So, in your own view, what truly builds competence beyond degrees and certifications? I know you've told us about how skill acquisition is a major thing, but just tell us
Mm,
some more hard moment truths that would give us more valuable information.
okay. So competence, I think, is built through problem solving, and let me just put it here, repetition, like a
Uh,
repetition but progressive one. You understand?
yes, sir.
And so let me build this competency on this kind of pillars. There is this comedian, they used to say, I always like problems, you understand? Like, so
Yes.
you just have to be liking problems. That is one, in the sense that your aim is to solve problems. By solving problems, you really get to have a lot of knowledge and try to teach people. You can really build competency by trying to solve problems and setting goals for yourself. Because when you solve this problem, automatically you will develop a confidence that if they bring in any kind of new problem to you, you can still solve that particular. And I used to tell my students, even in academia, why do you
Yes.
think, like, sometimes if you've been given mathematics problems, all this physics, and the third class, the second class students, automatically they would say they cannot be able to do it. Let's take it to this guy, and we know he can do it. The guy that they are taking it to, maybe those first class students and those brilliant ones, there is one thing that they have is confidence. What built that their confidence is because they were able to solve some problems, so automatically they know if you bring in any new problem to them, they can be able to do it. You understand? So, and
Yeah.
your brain too is, I think, is programmed that way. If you were able to do so kind of solve some other things in the past, automatically you will just get to feel like you can do any other thing again, and that's how it keeps rolling, and you will
That,
just be doing things efficiently and smoothly.
thank you so much for that. That's a very new point of view. So I feel like
Mm.
previous experience is like a propeller to any future problem you would encounter, even though it might be a little bit more complicated. But just the fact that you
Mm.
have solved something similar just would help you brace through the
Yeah,
future problems.
yeah, actually.
Okay. So now we move forward to technology for real impact. So you've applied technology in real societal problems, especially in the digital health and education. So what should builders in the emerging market focus on? Could you just give us any kind of insights you might have on something that would be of genuine impact and not just products?
Okay. Um, So, building products that will really be impactful, first you need to think locally.
Okay.
Most of all these founders and most people will be telling you, "God, now I think the market is saturated. There is nothing that I can think of to build, and that is not yet
That is
that is not
so
built."
true.
Understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will try to relate this to in academia as well. When it comes to project, and a lot of people will be calling it, meeting you in office. Excuse me, sir. I really don't know what problem to solve in my project. I really don't know the topic that I would really need to do to make an impactful project. And I
Yeah.
would say, all with all these problems that we have in Nigeria, that you can really make a good change. And if you take a look at all these giant in technologies, how they come up with the product that they've built is, it just started with thinking locally, how they can be able to solve their local problems. Take
Mm.
Facebook, for example. If you go through the history, you see that it all comes up from Zuckerberg trying to create an app that can be utilized by his friends to just start and rest, isn't it?
Yes,
So
yes.
you see, coming up with an idea or a product, I think you need to think locally. So when this kind of people really approach me, and I will tell them, just go around and be looking at problems that you can encounter while you're going. You understand?
Yes.
And one of my students then, I was working together with him in my environment around our area then, and there are like in the north, if you move around places, you will see all this almajiri
Yeah.
trying to move from here to there, roaming around, and I asked the student, I told him, didn't you see any problem here? Like the guy, because the almajiri was trying to pick up slippers in the dustbin in the west place and try to wear. And I asked him, didn't you see a problem that you can solve? And he said, sir, Kai, I didn't see any problem. Oh, and I said, wow, what a pity. You understand? So, and I asked him, the way this guy was picking all these shoes, where do you think the shoes were coming from? From houses, isn't it? And
Yes.
to my surprise, I tell him, like, there are a lot of, you go in through these houses, you can see a lot of houses that were dumping all these second-hand shoes that their children have finished working, using, and
Mm.
they will just dump it in the waste bin and just come and throw before this emergency comes and pick it. And I said, you can have an app, and if you look, all these emergencies, they are working barefooted, no shoes or anything. You can build
Mm.
an app such that people can, if they have a kind of waste for shoes and the rest, they can just go through your app and say they have this
Yeah,
kind of
donate or
uh,
something.
slippers to dispose. And you go and pick them, and if you like, you can even distribute it to the Majlis or try and profit on it. That way, you can do anything. You
Yeah,
understand? So I
yes.
said, you see, when you think locally, you will really come up with very good solutions that can really be impactful with a lot. So think of creating that application. How impactful do you think it will be? You will have saved a lot of children from getting infected by a lot of what diseases and so on. So there
True.
are, and most people just think creating a product has to be necessarily you earning something. You understand? So the
Yeah.
moment you stop thinking that way and think of creating something that people will really love to use, that it will really help people very well, automatically you will be earning. Anything that people feel like it's assisting them, automatically you really going to earn from those kind of products and solutions. Yeah. So just think locally, and
Yeah.
you'll get ideas for a lot of products that you can develop that will really go and be impactful in the society. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. That's a very great point of view because I stumbled upon an article recently and it says that in this era, building the solution is not the problem as a result of AI and all of the technologies we have. Now, idea
Mm.
has become the major problem because people
Yeah.
lose creativity these days in building solutions.
Yes.
Thank
Exactly.
you so much for this local perspective. I'll begin to implement this even myself to find ways
Yeah.
ideas.
Okay.
So we're almost rounding up the episode. And before I ask this final question, on your profile, you shared that you got into the University of Leeds and studied mobile computing. So I want you to just give us like short history on your experience outside of the country and how it was compared to living here in Nigeria.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. First of all, I will tell you, don't laugh. There are some things that I will say.
Okay, no
And my
problem.
listeners as well, they didn't laugh. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think fast forward when we finished our NYSC, and then the PTDF, Petroleum Development Trust Fund, they advertised for scholarship, and I applied. So when I
Okay.
applied, I've received an email that I've been invited for an interview.
Okay.
There's something that I want to pinpoint here. When I went for the interview, I think it was in Bauchi, and I saw a lot of people, like from the get, a lot of people were going for that, but then they were doing CBT for the master's program exams kind of test. And
Yes.
I've seen thousands of people waiting just to get into the queue to go for the CBT exams. And I said, Daki, you just better go back home. How can you be able to get a slot in
Wow.
this? Yeah, so but I've already traveled far from Gombe to Bauchi, and I said, okay, let me just go and try. Sometimes you really need to develop confidence
True.
by yourself. You know, if you go and meet people that are in same cadre with yourself, the same experience, automatically what you're feeling, they too they are feeling that same thing. You
True.
understand? If
Yes.
you're feeling that all these people are better than me and the rest, the people that you're referring to as well, they are feeling the same thing. So you're
True.
all on ground zero. So just go and try and be confident. So we
True.
try, and then yeah. So I've gotten the scholarship, and I traveled to Leeds for my master's program in mobile computing. So the experience there, moving from Nigeria and trying to go and study in a different country, you really have to be strong
True.
because you've been separated from your family and your friends and the rest, and
Yeah.
you're encountering an entire new environment. The way people live there and the way they use technology in almost everything is really, really fascinating. So,
Yeah.
and then one of my experiences there, when they give you a kind of work to do, for example, let's say they ask you to go and write a program that will do something. You
Yes.
have to write a report on how you have done that program. You write a lot of English, and before you just submit a simple assignment, and
Wow.
there's always time for assignments. When it comes to assignment and classwork, you just see a lot of all the lecturers were giving you work to do, a work that will take you 1 week or so, that you're just for one particular course, and you just be doing it on and on and on. So every day is busy day. You hardly get a time for yourself to relax or do something. Is it's either you're doing one assignment, or you're doing one lecture, or you're just always doing something. Even in the weekends, you just hardly had some few moments to rest. Unlike in Nigeria here, where most of the things
Yes.
that you can do them
On a very
little.
slower pace, to be honest.
And one thing that really shocked me there is, if they give you a common classwork, you have
Yes.
to submit it through that their software called TuneIt and it will check for plagiarism. And I was, what?
Wow.
So even simple assignment you cannot copy from your colleague, or it's really hard
Wow.
to adopt those kind of things. And
Mm.
I think the first 6 months or the first semester, it was really hectic. We went
Okay.
there late. We went there, I think, 2 weeks into the to the starting of the program. You know, in Nigeria, when you resume the university, if you like, you cannot even go for the first 2 weeks in most cases, and everything will just be will
Everything will be
settle
fine.
at long run.
Yes.
But there, if you miss even one class, you've missed a lot. Oh, you've missed a lot, and before you can be able to catch up, it's really, really going to be hard for you.
Wow.
So, and one major thing I really liked there is when I met those Chinese people there in that university.
Okay.
Most of the Chinese, they cannot speak fluent English, but when they give you some classwork or anything, you see them just getting their higher marks, and you'll be surprised. These people that are not even they are not
And
even getting the
English.
English well, and they are doing things that have passed you. So I learned one thing from them really.
Wow.
So if they give them any handout or anything, they will try and get the copy and just convert it to their Chinese, read and understand it in their own language. So then I realized language is something that can uh, help you understanding the core concept of things that they are teaching you. So
True.
since then, like me, when I come to class, sometimes if I see that one of my students is not getting the concept that I'm explaining well, I'll just try and use the local language that he understands and explain it to him and then move forward. So I realized this kind of things really helps to boost the morale of most of the students, and they'll just be cool with you and they will like to know more about the things that you are explaining. So I think that experience too, I've gotten it from their leads and the experience of writing. You know, everything has to be writing. You English this document this. Uh, yeah, that is it.
Okay. Thank you so
I
much.
don't want to give you that story that will make you laugh. I decided to retract it back. Okay. Let me just chip in. Let me just chip in for
All
just
right. All
what a
right.
minute. So one day, everything was hard for us, me and my friend. I will
Okay.
not call his name. So we were just returning back from mosque, and all of a sudden, just like something has pinched us, and he said, "Ha, Dawaki, me, I'm thinking of going back home." Oh." I said, as if you have gone through what I'm thinking in my mind. I want to go back home. I want to leave this thing.
Wow.
He said, and because of the rigorous teaching and learning that you are going to experience there,
Yeah.
rigorous things that most of the times that are really new. But in Nigeria, we were taught one thing. I think the educational system in Nigeria teach you about resilience, and even Nigeria as well, the environment teach you about resilience and how to withstand any kind of storm that come over you. You understand? So
Yes.
you see the thing from the past that as if you cannot do it, but that resilience in we Nigerians will keep us keep moving, keep pushing. Understand? I said, I
Yes.
mean, I'm thinking of that as well. But even though we all have our first class, just leave this masters. This masters is not for us. Let's just go back to Nigeria and just give this PTDF back their money because this thing is really hard. Most people have the impression that like when you go to all these countries, the education is so simple. You understand? Really,
Yeah.
there are some resources, a lot of resources that can help you learn. But here in Nigeria, you already have friends that if you go into something, you can really go and meet them up for them to teach you. There, everyone was that like going healthier skelter. Everyone was on his own. I think we met our neighbor even once. The neighbor that we are living
Wow.
once in all that year that I've been there. So
Wow.
everyone is just fighting for himself. There's no one that you can go to, and like that's why most of them you'll be hearing them. They are depressed. They are this. They are that. Unlike in Nigeria, whereby if you go into anything that you're having problem or hard times, some people will come and
Support
talk to
you.
you
Yeah.
and then like cheer you up and the rest. So I think this some of the experiences there.
Thank you so much for that information. Ultimately, we have a lot of grit as Nigerians, and we tend to help each other to get out a lot of problems that we fall into.
Hmm.
So now, on our final question for today. So if you have had one honest piece of advice for a young professional who wants to be trusted, be reliable and respected over the next 10 to 15 years in the discipline. So what would it be?
Yeah. So to me, I think there are two things, or let me just summarize it to one. One thing that really shaped me as human, you understand?
Yes, sir.
Whenever you have a little knowledge for something, try and teach someone. It will really, really go a long way in keeping you moving. If you have a knowledge of something, tell the experience or teach someone. Number one, it will be retained in your head. Number two, you are making an impact. That same person will go and impact someone, that next person. So at the end, it's just a multiplier, and a lot of people will just be impacted from just your single idea.
Wow.
It's
That's
so
true.
so that is the most important thing that I think it really shapes the way I do things currently. So my mindset is built on this path. Whatever I know, I try to teach any person that comes near me that wants to learn that thing. So I think this thing keeps me moving. And even with my students here, if I'm
Yeah.
teaching, let's say the course that I will be teaching is C programming, I will not just restrict myself to just C programming. If I come to class, I will be try and be telling them things that I know that they should be trying as well. So I don't
Yeah.
keep knowledgeable things, I don't keep resources or knowledge to myself. I try
Yeah.
to share. The more you share, the more people you make an impact on, and the more you too you can be able to retain that particular knowledge,
Yeah.
and your status will just keep elevating in the society. Because when they knock on this person and they said, "Where do you learn this thing?" They will refer back to you. And you call another person, "Where do you learn this thing?" They will refer back to you. And you see, a lot of people will get to know you. Even you as well, Abraham, having me on this platform. I think if you have not maybe seen some of the impacts that I have made, maybe in
Yeah.
class or trying to, you understand,
Truly.
I
I
wouldn't have
must
been
tell
here
you this,
as well.
like you really
Yeah, I wouldn't have
the
been here.
time
So
that we started even learning programming in the university, you were the only
yeah.
lecturer that was very technical and taught us like the C in the most adequate way. All of the other lecturers, they did teach us, but not as good as you did. And so far, when I see all of the work that I do in the university, how you're able to like help a lot of students be a lot more technical, it just is
Yeah.
very encouraging. That's why I just thought to like have you on this podcast. And thank you so much for agreeing to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abraham. It's really nice to talk to you and the audience as well.
Yeah, so we've come to the end of today's episode, and all of this information that you've shared are very so helpful to all of our young professionals. And I hope in the nearest future you would also come on this podcast to tell us maybe something more technical to your field or work or your study or anything at all.
Yeah, I think I will really recommend a lot of people to be looking over this podcast and your
Yes, sir. Yes,
platform. Take
sir.
advantage. You are really making
I
an
would
impact
very
as well.
much appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you are really
Thank you
making
so
an
much, sir.
impact as well. That is really good. I'm really impressed when I go through a lot of things that you have done. It's really great, and thank you for having me, Mr. Abraham.
Thank you
And
so
have a
much,
nice
sir.
day. And
Thank you
thank
so
you, our
much.
listeners. Yeah.
So, yeah, to the Tech Advantage community, thank you for joining us today. And be sure to follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening. And remember, technology is your advantage.